Not because DeWitt forgot it, not because he simplified the math, not because he chose a convenient shorthand. When you write quantum mechanics for a closed system that contains everything, the mathematics does not produce a time variable. It is not hiding somewhere in the equation waiting to be extracted. It is not buried inside another term. It is absent. The equation describes a universe in which nothing happens. It's a universe where things happen slowly. It's a universe where time is hard to detect. A universe where the concept of happening does not apply. Everything simply is, all at once, always. This is called the problem of time in quantum gravity. It has been open since 1967. It is not a footnote. It is not a minor technical issue that theorists argue about for instance. It is the central principle unifying the two greatest theories of physics. General relativity needs time. It is built on time. Time bends, time stretches, time tells how to move. Quantum mechanics, when applied to the whole universe, erases time. It produces a description in which the word "when" has no meaning. Both confirmed to extraordinary precision. One requires time to exist. The other says it was not. For 57 years, no one has figured it out. Someone took the absence seriously. In 2004, a physicist named Carl published an essay with a title that most of his colleagues probably wished he had not chosen. Forget time. 2 words. Instruction. Ripley is not easy for writing conclusions. He is one of the founders of loop quantum gravity, the leading candidates for a theory that unifies general relativity and quantum mechanics. He has spent his career working at the deepest level of physical reality. His conclusion after decades of work is that time is not a feature of mathematics. Here is his argument. When you have complete information about a system, when you know the exact state of every particle and every field, you do not need time. You can describe the system as a set of relationships between variables. This variable is correlated with that variable. This state is connected to that state. No before, no after. Just a web of relations. Time only appears when you do not have complete information. When you are missing details about the microscopic state of the system, you are forced to describe it statistically. And in the statistical description, it shows up that behaves like time. It increases. It gives you a direction. It lets you talk about change and sequence and duration. But it is not fundamental. It is a consequence of your ignorance. Ravelli published this in a book in 2017 called The Order of Time. It was translated into more than 40 languages. It sold millions of copies. The argument is not hidden. When you do not know enough. It is the blur you see when your vision is not sharp enough to see the individual threats. Sharpen the vision and the blur disappears. Gain complete knowledge and time disappears with it. It is not that we cannot find time at the fundamental level. It is that time is the name we give to not being able to see the fundamental level. The thing you feel every second of your life is not a feature of reality. It is a feature of the limits of your perspective. Remove the limits, and you remove the time. Ravelli removed time, but he left something behind. Change. Relations between variables still change. Correlations still exist. The web still has a structure even without a clock ticking on it. A physicist named Julian Marble looked at what Ravelli left behind, and removed that too. In 1999, Marble published a book called The End of Time. The time is not a metaphor. He means it literally. Marble's proposal is that the universe is not a sequence of events. It is a collection of configurations. Each configuration is a complete arrangement of the possible universe. Snapshot. A single frozen frame that contains everything. The position of every atom, the state of every field, the shape of every concept. In Barber's model, these configurations do not follow them. There is no first frame and second frame and third frame. There is no order. There is no progression. There is just a vast space of all possible configurations, and Barber calls this space Platonia. The possible arrangement of the universe exists in Platonia. The one where you are reading this, the one where you stopped reading 5 minutes ago, the one where you were never born. They are all there. None is more real than any other. None comes before or after any other. It is the part that makes it hard to breathe. Some of these configurations contain structures that look like records of the past. A brain with memories. A fossil in a rock. A photograph on a shelf. A distant scar that has been traveling for 1 billion years. These structures exist inside the configuration. They are part of the snapshot. Your brain, which is also inside the snapshot, looks at these structures and concludes that there must have been a past. There must have been a sequence. There must have been a film reel leading up to this frame. But there is no film reel. There is no projector. There are only photographs. On some of those photographs, there are images of projectors. Your memories are not recordings of events. They are features of the configuration that existed. A sensation of time pass, that yesterday, that you were once a child, is not a report of the past. It is a pattern inside a frozen frame. Barber is not saying that the past is gone. He is saying the past was never there. There was no sequence to begin with. There is only now. It is not a moment in time. It is a configuration that contains the illusion of time within its structure. Someone does. In 2013, a physicist named Lee Smolin published a book called Time Reborn. The title is a direct answer to Barber. Barber said time is dead. Smolin says time is the only thing that was ever alive. Smolin is not a minor horse. He co-founded the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics, one of the most important research centers in the world. He has spent decades working on quantum gravity, and his conclusion is the exact opposite of Ravelli's and Barber's. Time is not an illusion. Time is not a side effect of ignorance. Time is not a pattern inside a frozen photograph. Time is real, more than real. It is the only thing that is real. Here is Smolin's argument. The laws of physics are not eternal. They are not written into the fabric of the universe from the beginning. They evolve. They change. The speed of light, the charge of an electron, the gravitational constant, all of it is temporary. The laws you learned in school describe the universe as it is right now, in this phase, in this era. But they were different before, and they will be different again. What survives across all those changes is time itself. Time is the container. Everything else is the contents. And the contents shift. Means, if Ravelli is right and time is an illusion, then the laws of physics are permanent. They sit there in the timeless equations, fixed, eternal, beautiful. You lose time, but you gain stability. If Smolin is right and time is real, then the laws of physics are not permanent. The speed of light could change. The strength of gravity could drift. The rules that hold atoms together could weaken or tighten or vanish entirely. You gain time, but you lose the ground that the equation ever written. Two of the most respected physicists on the planet. Two positions that cannot both be true. And both of them destroy something you need. Pick Ravelli. Time disappears. You do not move through the world. You are frozen in a web of relations that your brain mistakes for a river. Pick Barber. Time and motion both disappear. You are a pattern inside a still photograph that contains the illusion of a projector. Pick Smolin. Time survives. The laws of physics become temporary. The constants are not constant. while you are standing there. There is no option that leaves the world intact. There is no door in this hallway that opens onto solid ground. Every door opens onto a different kind of force. But so far, this has all been theory. Equations on paper. Books on shelves. Arguments between brilliant people in rooms with blackboards. You could walk away from all of it and say, these are just models. The real universe is out there, made of rocks and stars and light. In the real universe, time works the way it always has. Except, there are places in the real universe where time stops working. In 1916, barely a year after Einstein published his general theory of relativity, a German physicist named Karl Schwarzschild solved Einstein's equations for a perfectly spherical base. He was doing it from the trenches of World War I. He mailed the solution to Einstein from the Russian front. The solution describes something that should not exist. If you compress enough mass into a small enough space, the geometry of space-time curves so steeply that nothing can escape. Not matter, not light, not information. The boundary where escape becomes impossible is called the event horizon. Here is what happens to time. Watching something fall toward a black hole. You watch it from a safe distance. You see them approaching the horizon. As they get closer, their clock slows down. Their movements become sluggish. Light coming from their body shifts to red, into deep red, into infrared, into deep. They get dimmer, slower. They move across the line. Use perspective, they horizon line. Their clock reaches zero, reaches out. They are frozen at the boundary for eternity. That is switched to their perspective. They feel nothing at the horizon. No barrier, no wall, no sign that anything changed. They cross it instantly, continue falling. Their clock ticks normally. Their heart beats normally. They do not notice the boundary at all. Two observers. One sees a person frozen at the edge of time forever. The other feels nothing and moves straight through. Correct. Neither is seeing an illusion. The universe does not give one version. It runs both. Time is not slowing down. Horizon. Time is splitting into two realities all each other. What waits on the other side of the horizon is worse. Inside a black hole, the physics of general relativity does something that sounds like a glitch, but is not. The coordinates for space and time switch roles. Inside the horizon, you can move freely in space. Left, right, up, down. You choose your direction. But you cannot move freely in time. You move forward, always forward. It's the one direction you can reverse. Inside the horizon, the arrangement flips. In your direction, the direction toward the center becomes time-line, and the time direction becomes space-line. What that means is that falling toward the center is no longer a movement through space. It is a movement through time. And just as you cannot stop moving forward in time outside the horizon, you cannot stop falling toward the center, inside the horizon. You are not being pulled. There is no force dragging you. You are moving through time. The center is where time goes. In 1965, Roger Penrose proved that this has a name. His singularity theorem, the work that won him the Nobel Prize in 2020, demonstrated that under certain conditions, gravitational collapse inevitably leads to a singularity, a point where the curvature of space-time becomes infinite, where density becomes infinite, where every known law of physics produces an answer of infinity, which in mathematics is another way of saying the equation has broken. The law no longer applies, the description has failed, the sentence has ended. At the singularity, time does not slow down, time does not stop. Time ceases to be a meaningful concept. There is no after the singularity. There is no next moment. The word next requires time, and time is what just ended. You're not falling toward a place. You're falling toward the edge of the last moment. The point where the clock does not stop but ceases to exist. You reach it not because something pulls you there, but because the structure of space-time inside the horizon gives you no other direction to go. Time inside a black hole has a wall. You always walking toward it. In 1974, a young physicist named Stephen Hawking discovered something about black holes that no one expected. They are not permanent. They evaporate. Hawking showed that the event horizon is not a clean boundary. The quantum level, as particles are constantly appearing and disappearing. This is normal. It's in empty space all the time. A particle and its particle pop into existence, exist for a fraction of a second, and annihilate each other. Nothing gained. But at the edge of a black hole, something different happens. It appears right at the horizon. One particle pulls in, the other escapes. The escaped particle carries energy away from the black hole. The hole loses a tiny amount of mass. Over time, an unimaginably long time, the black hole shrinks, and eventually it disappears. Completely. Hawking radiation. A black hole the mass of the sun will take 10 to the power of 67 years to evaporate. It is longer than the current age of the universe by a factor that has no name in everyday language. But it happens. Given enough time, the black hole of the universe will be gone. Here is the problem. Information fell into that black hole. Stars fell in. Planets fell in. Light fell in. Every object that crossed the horizon with information about its structure, its composition, its history. That information went past the horizon and toward the singularity where time ends. And then the black hole evaporated and left nothing behind but a faint glow of thermal radiation. Where did the information go? If it was destroyed, then a fundamental principle of quantum mechanics is broken. Unitarity. A rule that says information is never lost. Every process in quantum mechanics is reversible in principle. You can always reconstruct the input from the output. The black hole radiates. That rule fails. The foundation of quantum theory cracks. If the information was not destroyed, then it had to get out somehow. But the event horizon is a one-way boundary. Nothing escapes. That's the definition of a black hole. So how does information get out of a place that nothing can leave? Hawking spent 30 years arguing that the information was gone, destroyed. He said quantum mechanics would have to bend. In 2004, he publicly reversed his position. He conceded that information survives, but he did not explain how. No one has. The information process has been open for 50 years. 50 years of the best minds in physics working on one question. Time ends inside the black hole. The object containing the time evaporates. But the information that fell into that time does not disappear. Time dies. Its contents do. The thing and what the thing contained are not the same. And no one can explain how that is possible. You could tell yourself that none of this